All right, let's do our homework together. Number one, can we graph this and analyze it? So the 2 gives me the amplitude. The period starts with 2 pi. If the number with x is 1, so when I divide by 1, it just stays 2 pi. The phase shift, it's going to be negative pi divided by 1. That's negative pi. So I'm doing here. I got it. What are we at? Vertical shift. There is no number after the parentheses. So there is no vertical shift, and the midline stays at 0. All right, so we're going to start the graph. The period is there, 2 pi, so everything's set up nice. I need to start at the phase shift, so I find where negative pi is, and then cosine starts at the top. So I find 2, the top of the wave, at negative pi, and that's where my graph is going to start. Then the next one is going to be in the middle. The next one's going to be at the bottom, then in the middle, then at the top, then in the middle, then at the bottom. And you're going to follow this pattern till it's done, and then connect and make your wave. All right, on to number 2. Try it first, or just work with me, whatever you need to learn. For number 2, the amplitude is 1. That's the number in front of sine that you don't see. The period is 2 pi. Again, there's nothing inside with x that would change that. Divide by 1. Phase shift. There is no phase shift. We don't have parentheses. There's nothing. The plus 4 is the vertical shift. So now our midline is at 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a horizontal line at 4. Next, to graph sine plus 4, I know that we have no phase shift, so we're starting at 0. So sine starts at the midline at 0, and it actually goes 0, 0, 0. Then for the first 2, I look to see if it's positive or negative. It's positive. So go up 1 from the red line and down 1 from the red line, and then that's the pattern across. So we have middle, 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 and make sure we follow the pattern from the red line, and then draw your wave. Number 3. It's tangent. There is no amplitude. Period starts with pi, and I'm going to divide by the number inside with x, which is 2. So it's pi over 2. I'm going to change the scale in a moment. The phase shift is positive pi divided by 2. The vertical shift. There is no vertical shift, no number at the end, so it stays there, so the midline stays at 0. So I'm going to change the scale, so it's pi over 2. So I'm going to make this pi over 2 and this pi, so this negative pi over 2 and this negative pi. And I'm going to graph it. So tangent at the phase shift. So I've got to go to pi over 2. At pi over 2, oh, I guess I changed colors. Starts at that point of inflection. So we're going to put in our points of inflection first for tangent, and then we're going to put in the asymptotes in between. Then we're going to draw the graph that we see. So the 2 here gives me the secondary point. So I'm going to go back to pi over 2. It's positive, so it's going to go through 2 to the right, and then find negative 2, and then down to the left. So 2, it goes up. Negative 2, it goes down. 2, it goes up. Negative 2, it goes down. 2 goes up. Negative 2 goes down. And there we go. Done. Number 4. The amplitude here is 1. The period is 2 pi. That's 1/2. So times 2 would make it 4 pi. The phase shift is positive pi over 2. Again, times 2. That's pi. The 2's cross out. So when you divide by a fraction, I'm just skipping that step and multiplying times the reciprocal. The vertical shift is -1, so there's our midline at y equals -1. Feel free to press pause, and if you can start the graph or not, or if you need me all the way through, so be it. So there's the midline at -1. Go to the phase shift, which is pi, so I find where, our period is 4 pi, so we're going to change this to 4 pi and this to 2 pi. So if this is 4 pi and 2 pi, 1 pi is actually right here on my scale. So at pi, I'm going to go to the midline, and I know that cosine that's positive, from the red line, I'm going to go up 1 to the top of the wave. So right there at pi, it's +1. And then I'm going to follow the pattern from there. So then it's going to go to the middle of the wave, then it's going to go to the bottom of the wave, then the middle of the wave. Remember, the middle's on the red line. This is going to go the middle of the wave, to the bottom of the wave, to the middle of the wave, to the top of the wave, and then back to the middle of the wave. And then you've created your wave with the transformations. All right, 3 more. At some point, you should try to press pause and see what you can do. How far can you get? When do you start struggling? Do you give up and just watch the video? Or are you trying to fight through your struggles? Let's see. So here's the equation. So the amplitude here is +3. The period starts with 2 pi, and it's 1/3. So I'm going to multiply times the reciprocal, so now it's 6 pi. I'm just going to change this right now. So that's 6 pi and 3 pi, -3 pi and -6 pi. So now the scales change. The phase shift, it's -pi divided by 1/3 or times 3. So it's -pi/3. So I'm going to find negative and circle and say, okay, that's where the graph's going to start. We have a vertical shift of 2. So that's where my midline is. So I'm going to draw that 2. That's the middle of the wave. And then I'm going to go to my phase shift, which is -3 pi. It's right there. So sine starts on the midline. And it goes middle, 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 middle. These are the middle points right there. So that's the middle of the wave. Then go back to -3 pi. Recognize that this is -3. So from -3 pi, the first 2 there on the midline, it's going to go down. From red line, go down 3. And then from the red line, go up 3. And then go down 3. And then go up 3. And then make your wave from there. 2 left. Again, you should try without me and see how far you get. You should be comfortable being uncomfortable and struggling and figuring it out and fighting through it. All right, the amplitude is 4. The period starts with 2 pi times the reciprocal. So the 2's cross out, and it's 3 pi. So I'm going to change this to 3 pi and 3 pi over 2, -3 pi over 2, -3 pi. So now the scale fits for me. The phase shift is -pi over 2, again times 3 over 2, right? That's -3 pi over 4. I'm going to see where that is in a moment. -3 pi over 4 is right here. It's right in the middle between 0 and -3 over 2. Half of -3 pi over 2 is 3 pi over 4 times a half. The vertical shift is -1. That's where our midline is. So at -1, we have our midline. We go to our phase shift. I circled it. Cosine, it's negative. So there, from the red line, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and I'm going to follow my pattern from there. Then the midline, then to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the midline. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the midline. And then I have my pattern. And then I follow that pattern all the way through. There is one left. All right, here's your last chance. This one's a tangent one. This is our second tangent one. So, can we graph this equation? So, the amplitude, we have no amplitude. Period, we start with pi. Instead of 1/3, we multiply times the reciprocal, so it's 3 pi. So this one here is 3 pi, and this is 6 pi. So negative 3 pi, negative 6 pi. There's our scale. The phase shift is negative, so it's going to be positive pi times 3, which is 3 pi. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to circle it. The vertical shift is positive 1, so there's the midline at 1. So then I'm going to take and draw the midline at 1. And then at the phase shift, tangent starts at the midline. And then I'm going to skip it and then fill in all the points of inflection first. And then in the middle between the points of inflection, maybe I'll use a different color. I had green before. Where did I put the green? I don't know where I put it. Oh, here, I found it. Let me do green for fun. In between will be asymptotes here. There's 1. And then we're going to finish it off. So again, press pause if you need to. So we have our points of inflection. We have our asymptotes. Go back here. All of these are going to look the same, but we'll go back here. And then 3. So it's positive 3. So to the right, 1, 2, 3. We're going to curve up to the right. To the left, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to curve down right there. And that's the picture. So 1, 2, 3. Curve up. And then 1, 2, 3, curve down all the way through. 1, 2, 3, curve up. 1, 2, 3, curve down. Done. Hey, I'm really proud of you for finishing your homework. Mr. G Math over and out. Until next time.